Who got it better than us? Nobody!
I want to focus on the things that have made us good all year long, an intensity that they can't match. And the other thing is the ultimate disrespect is when somebody takes what's yours. And this is our game, so that makes it so personal. Dominate on 3. 1, 2, 3, dominate.
I need 60 minutes. 60 minutes to me. 60 minutes. No business, no mercy. Nothing but blood bubble. You got me. We're going to ring the bell. We're going to ring that championship bell. Ding, motherfucking dog.
Here comes the pressure. Penix fires over the middle, and it is intercepted. Mikey Sandristil going the other way.
The legend of Mike Sandristil continues to grow.
JJ takes the snap, flips the ball to Roman Wilson after he takes a knee, and Michigan, the Wolverines, have won a national championship.
First and goal. Mahomes flings it. It's there! Hardman! Jackpot, Kansas City!
This was the Andy Reid special we talked about. He was saving all day. He's going to fake a motion to go across. And at that moment, he turns and goes back. Hardman, who they didn't have, right?
On this touchdown throw to Mecole Hardman, who started the season as a Jet.
And now, welcome everyone to the Huddle Up Podcast.
Last week we said in the locker room, nobody but the guys in that locker room knew how good this group can be. Now the whole damn country knows.
Hello, everyone, and welcome Huddle Up Podcast. It is Tuesday, November the 19th, 2024. We're glad to be back with you. And as the football season continues to move along, we still have no clue what is happening on a week-to-week basis, but we're glad to at least do our best to make some sense of it. You can stick with us all year on YouTube, Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok. We are at Huddle Up Podcast. We are on Instagram at Huddle Up Podcast Inc. We are on Twitch at Huddle Up Inc. And we would appreciate you giving us a follow, a like, a subscribe on all of those podcast platforms wherever you can. You can grab your Huddle Up merchandise over at tpublic.com. I believe today there are 30 up to 35% off sales over at TeePublic. So go over there and grab your Huddle Up merch. We would certainly appreciate that as well. Plenty of designs and varieties over there to get you through the year.
And differing products, Jim. We would be remiss to not bring up the notebooks, the coffee mugs. Listen, being a large man, T-shirts don't always do it. So,
Absolutely
you know.
We're getting into hoodie season.
Facts. My student of the game hoodie's boss as hell.
But we are glad to bring you all of that. We are glad to be back for another week. Matt will not be with us this week. Apparently, Xfinity had different ideas in mind for
something diva. No, I'm kidding.
for Matt this week. EJ, once he finds a parking spot in a well-lit parking lot, he will be with us. Sean hopping in with us now from Tampa Bay. But
whoa. Are you hunting? Are you in a different satellite campus there helping EJ hunt down his perp? What's up, buddy?
No, I'd say we're just outdoors. You know, we got a nice night, it's nice and cool. We set up the outdoor studio. One of the benefits of the Sunshine State.
You know, good on you, buddy. That's actually pretty damn cool. Not for nothing.
Truth is, the dining room table was covered in crap, and I didn't want to clean it off.
Either way.
Somehow that makes me like it more, Sean.
Either way. Mikey B, how we doing this week?
I'm eating oatmeal cream pie ice cream because at this point I got to give myself a bigger brain freeze before Ernest walks in.
Jeez, dude, that stuff is a problem. That stuff is a big problem. big problem.
Diabetes.
I can confirm that stuff. It's a big problem. Devin checking in with us. Welcomes in the evil twin. Yeah. Student of the game, how we doing this week?
I'd be a lot better if Jeff Sharon didn't ruin my goddamn microphone with his bullcrap on the Night Shift podcast earlier in the. Where the hell is my area? I got to pull this. Here we go. Yeah. So, yeah, but listen, beyond that, doing good things. Covered UCF women's basketball for the Black and Gold Banneret this afternoon. So that was fun. Another dominant victory over the North Florida Osprey. And like I said, college basketball is where it's at if your college football team isn't doing well. Like a lot of UCF fans are starting to realize they're a basketball school, whether they like it or not. But, you know, hey, I guess it's better than Shad Khan not having fired Doug Peterson yet. More on that on the Duval Dive. I'm running the gamut. You know why? The only bit of joy I have is my work covering the Orlando Magic for Fan First Sports Family.
What is happening?
Real quick, as we revolve around the Duval Dive, Shad Khan almost as bad of an NFL owner as his son is at owning a wrestling company.
I can't speak to the wrestling portion, but I believe you have reason to believe at this juncture, Mikey Byrne.
That's a great point. It's a great point. Sean, how are we doing this week?
Hey, we're doing great. It was a fairly low-stress football weekend. It's the one advantage of playing on a Thursday and getting the win. You come into football Sunday and there's no pressure. You know, it's nice. Irish got a big win. It was a pretty stress-free football weekend for me, minus fantasy football, which almost gave me an aneurysm, but we're there.
Yeah, they beat a team that wasn't in the G5. Big weekend. Sorry.
You know what also gives you a stress-free football weekend? When your NFL team is so bad, you just stop caring.
Yeah, no hope.
So
no hope can be a real stress.
I'm right there with you on a completely different wavelength. It doesn't matter. They can't.
Hopeless isn't helpless, James. Hopeless isn't helpless.
Yeah. Is that where we're at on this football season, fellas? You know,
with the Dallas Cowboys, absolutely. It is.
Hope is that bullshit? Is that where we're at?
Oh, hope is definitely that bullshit. That's like a theme for November, but that's a whole different podcast.
Yes. Thanksgiving, where hope is that bullshit.
It's just a race every week. Like, are the Jets and the Cowboys going to be the dumbest?
I hope the turkey puts me in a coma before the Cowboys game starts is what I hope on Thanksgiving. But more on that next week.
More on that later.
But I'm good. Everybody joining in with us live, we appreciate it. You can interact with us in the comments as the show goes on. We will react to those. So appreciate Devin checking in with us there.
Devin,
but
always a joy.
Let's get to it. If the board wants to, there we go. All right. So as we do each and every week, we look back at the weekend that was, and we figure out what we learned from this past weekend. So Sean, I'll start with you. What did you learn this past weekend?
Just an arm just coming right into Mikey's shot there. You all right up there, Mike?
The arm of Lady Caliente always draws attention there, evil twin, let me tell you.
Oh, my goodness. So what did I learn? Well, I learned a lot of things. But the one thing I learned probably more than anything else is that as we build our top tens and we try to figure out who's on top and who's the strongest team and that kind of thing, if I'm looking forward to the playoffs, to the Super Bowl, I have learned that there are probably 4 teams, maybe only 3, that I think are playing for a Super Bowl title at this point. As far as I'm concerned, are there other teams that, could make a push and win? I mean, obviously any given Sunday playoffs, you never know. But as far as what I would consider Super Bowl contender teams with the way they're playing right now, I would make the list at 4, and more on that later. But I think as the cream is rising and the dust is falling, there's a whole lot of middle ground and a pretty heavy anchor at the bottom. But when you're looking at that cream at the top, it's a very thin layer, I think, at this point.
Yeah. I tend to kind of agree with that. And that layer at the bottom is some of that's like the coffee grounds that just end up getting like thrown away. And it's like more on those teams later, but I feel
there's a lot of, and there is a lot of grounds.
There's somebody
European coffee
was excruciating.
Somebody forgot to put the filter in the coffee machine.
It's all over the place. It's on the counter. It's on the floor. I'm pretty sure the coffee that was put in was just old grounds. I'm pretty sure that's where the league is right now. But obviously I'm not going to go too much in detail, and it doesn't have to be a ton of debate. But that's what I learned. Very few championship caliber teams right now.
Yeah, I don't think you're that far off in that assessment. I think you're pretty much spot on. We'll obviously talk about the rankings coming up later in the show. But yeah, definitely few and far between when it comes to great teams in the National Football League. Student of the game, Kyle Nash, what did you learn this past weekend?
I learned for all these machinations with getting away from the BSC and getting past the four team playoff to the area where we now have the official college football playoff of 12 teams. Nothing can beat an easy ass schedule. This bullshit where Penn State, Indiana, and I'm sorry, gentlemen, the Fighting Irish are all hiding at the top somehow while we're looking at teams that are better than them. It's just disgusting. But I'm also learning that sometimes pretenders get built to the top so that their fall is that much more sweet to watch.
Yeah, we'll certainly talk about the college football playoff rankings here in a couple minutes as well.
Oh, sorry. More on that later. There we go.
There we go. But a little bit of a shakeup as a few teams in the top 6 went down again this weekend. Kind of been the story of the year, especially over the last month or so. But we'll get our reactions to the latest college football playoff rankings here in a couple of minutes. Mikey B, what did you learn this past weekend?
What I learned is if you're an AFC North team and you have the best running back in football, maybe you should give it to him more than 13 fucking times. He had less fucking rushing attempts than Lamar had incompletions. What are we doing?
Yeah.
13 for 65 and a touch. I get it. It's fucking Pittsburgh. What the fuck?
You
do? I mean, that's the perfect. Yeah, both of those perfect. Because at one point in the game plan, go, you know what? Fuck it. Let's stop running it.
I think you're looking at a trend there with Baltimore.
That's a very good one.
I feel like Baltimore does that a lot. I feel like big games, playoff games, the ones where they fall short, you see them somehow against the Chiefs and the Bills and the Steelers and against playoff teams for some reason, despite the fact that they've spent the last decade building a brand of we run the ball and we push people around. It becomes this flashy, futuristic, look what Lamar can do. And it doesn't seem to work. And I don't know if it's, you're trying to keep up with the Joneses and you're trying to make him Patrick Mahomes and you're trying to make him Josh Allen. He doesn't have to be. I'm with you, Mike. Keep it simple. I talked about it with the Eagles in the couple losses earlier this year when they gave Barkley less than 15 or 20 touches in games that they had no business throwing a lot, and they lost those games. If you have a weapon, use it.
I mean, I get it to an extent, and it was 12 carries for 34 yards if you take away the 1 for 31 yards.
Right.
And I get it. The fumble, that changes game plans and things along those lines. But last time I checked, Derrick Henry is on another level that you don't bench a guy like him because he fumbles. It's just frustrating. It feels like they got away from the game plan. It feels like they left a lot of points on the fucking field. And
Justin Tucker also left some points on the field.
Can we be clear about that too? Yes, thank you, Jim, for pointing that out. By the way, hey, listen, if you expect that game plan to ever be predictable, folks, this is the greatest rivalry in the NFL football league. To hell with your historical Bears-Packers bullshit. Fine. Green Bay playing the Decatur Staleys is cute and everything. But I have to point out this. And listen, there is plenty of reason to have pointed out the lemon booty with overreaction and being afraid to run the ball. I will certainly accept that defense. But fellas, all of the examples you've mentioned in the form of the Buffalo Bills, of the Kansas City Chiefs, in the Pittsburgh Steelers, the commonality is there's a little bit of a reason to be afraid of running the football because they're pretty goddamn good at stopping it. The issue happens to be that the Chiefs have a guy in Chris Jones that could be an MVP candidate if people did more than watch stats. Okay? The Bills have a ridiculously good defensive tackle core, and I have been screaming it from the rooftops for about as long as I've been calling the Kansas City Chiefs a defensive team.
Is that what that sound was?
Yeah, well, thank you for acknowledging it there, Sean. I actually feel
last
touched.
night.
That's what she said. Anyway, so with all that being said,
That's what she said.
yeah, I think there's some there. And if I'm not saying don't criticize it, Mike, before you retort.
No,
but
I think once I retort, I think my frustration will become very more apparent with what's going on.
I don't know. You did pretty fucking good to open the comment.
So in their 4 losses,
yeah, I was
Derrick
yeah,
Henry,
I had
13, 18, 11, and 13 carries.
Yeah,
you traded for this guy. You traded for this guy to use him more. Fucking use him.
Well, I mean, are you counting week 1 like in that?
Yeah, that would be one of their
all 4 losses. All of their losses.
So, and listen, again, not saying it isn't a crime beyond reproach. You've done a fine job breaking it down. I'm not even here to say I disagree with you. But before we go sailing John Harbaugh and coaching staff up the creek, the real question is, hey, are you going to be this afraid in January? That's the question I would ask if I were a Baltimore fan.
I would agree with that assessment. That's a good question to ask.
And I mean, even in their 2 out of their 7 wins, the 2 games against Cincinnati, sorry, Mike.
That's fine.
Derrick Henry had 16 carries for 68 and 15 carries for 92. So
and
like
those was a 51-yard rush in overtime to set up the game-winning fucking
right, exactly. So when you even look at those 2 games, which were extremely close. Now I feel bad I brought it up.
No. See, I decided to go the Ravens because I almost went homer on the Bengals, and I didn't want to get homered early. So,
but more on that later. No, but yeah, I mean, even in those 2 games, which were close, those are 2 games where he was under 100, and the Ravens almost lost those games. So, like, yeah, I mean, the divisional matchups, teams with a good front, like, obviously there's something there. But in the postseason, if the Ravens are afraid to run the ball, it will hurt them.
I mean,
like,
I
think it will.
24 carries for almost 200 rushing yards against Buffalo whenever they played them in week 4. Like that's like when you put the comparisons of what their game plans are, it truly feels like week to week, Harbaugh and the rest of that offense just sit in the room and they go, all right, somebody spin the wheel and let's see how many carries Derrick's going to get this week.
Listen, and I get it. The Bengals is actually a good criticism, Jim, because listen, you and I both know, Byrne, that Geno Atkins and Damani Pecco aren't walking through that door anytime immediately to shore up that defensive tackle squad. I get you. So, again, I think the lesson that needs to be learned isn't necessarily that they need to run the ball more, as this they need to not abandon it. And then in that 4th quarter, when defensive fronts tire, then you hit them with it. We just literally watch college teams do that every goddamn week. I watched it against Arizona State 2 weeks ago when UCF did it and should have won the game if special teams didn't cost them 14 goddamn points.
Yeah. And again, to Sean's point, like that, this is what the Ravens have built themselves to be. Like they have built themselves to be a team that is going to be deadly on both, both sides of the ball in the trenches. So let's do it. Especially,
and he's healthy. Unlike on these paths, where Gus Edwards and JK were hurt.
Exactly.
The asset is still healthy. What the fuck, Clyde?
Anyways, exactly. All right. What did I learn this past weekend? I learned that Netflix may not be ready for the NFL on Christmas.
Wow. I'm kind of surprised. I'm surprised it took this long for Netflix to be the butt of a joke.
Yeah, man. I watched, or at least tried to watch, Mike Tyson pretend to box in a fight for 8 rounds on Friday night, and the whole time I'm sitting there, there was part of the concern in me was, wow, the WWE goes live on Netflix on January 6th. Now, I don't think there's going to be 70 million people watching at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Monday nights for Monday Night Raw. That said, there's going to be a lot of people who are tuned in to the NFL on Netflix on Christmas Day, and it may not be. You may be sending lumps of coal to Roger Goodell's office if there's a repeater of what happened from AT&T Stadium on Friday, because that was a mess.
Fellas, y'all know already that Raja was on the phone to Netflix office by the second hour of delays. I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely. They are. I'm sure.
Now, if you fellas need a quick, like it was a semi fix. I managed to, like, by the time it got to the fight, I had figured out that if I backed it up from live about 30 seconds and was just behind live, I had no major buffer issues. Like when I got to like 30 to 45 seconds, somewhere like that. So technically, I didn't know how tired Mike was right in live time.
Yeah,
I definitely kept getting sent back to the women's fight.
I kept getting sent back.
Yeah, there was something weird with Netflix, like the interactivity of it. Whenever I would have to stay, it would go back to my previous point.
Yeah,
and anything I'd done recently didn't save. There was definitely a lot of issues there.
Yeah. But I'm sure
hopefully their coverage is better, because the profiles and the celebrities and the people they chose to talk about that fight were just as bad. Man, I couldn't figure out why I was watching, who I was watching. I was like, is this guy high, right? Like, there's times where I'm like, are these people on drugs? Like, I don't understand what they don't even know what they're saying. Like, they had one point where one person was talking and the camera was on someone else, and that person was like staring off into space creepily, and I didn't know what was. I was like,
smoke crack.
Yeah, and that's how I felt. I was like, that guy.
Yeah, it was
crack.
It was a bumpy ride. They made it to the end.
What a trip.
As much as I don't like Jake Paul, I will respect Jake Paul for not knocking out Mike Tyson the multiple times he could have as that fight went on. So,
if I may, like, for all the people that are complaining about the quality of boxing, you dumbass, how much was it? Well, yeah, actually, I guess if you had Netflix, it was free.
Yeah, I mean, it was free.
So, but like, if you expected great boxing from a 58-year-old man and a former Mickey Mouse Club member who's a YouTuber, that's a fucking you problem.
Oh yeah,
right?
that's on you. That's on you.
Come on, man.
If you expected great boxing, watch the women's fight and the title fight before it, and then turn it off when Mike Tyson walks out to the ring.
Yeah,
legit.
Oh yeah, if you expected I expected,
I mean, I think there was clearly a line that was drawn that said, Mike, don't hit him hard early, and Jake, don't hit him hard late.
Yeah.
Like, it was pretty much.
Go out there, give him a good show. It was like Thunder Lips in Rocky in Rocky 3. Just give him a good show.
God, if I hear him talk about him biting his glove one more time, I was just like,
yeah,
we get it. He's biting his glove.
That was like, something.
That's nuts, though. I mean, I get why they're enamored with it, but I'm listen, man. I'm no fight expert.
Well, the weird part was he had a picture of Holyfield's ear on his left thumb. Like, that was
this guy.
That was the weird part.
Something. Mike Tyson.
Spinal.
All right, let's keep moving on, and let's take a look at this week's college football playoff rankings. And I'll bring them up on the screen here. The first team out, Tennessee. Second team out, SMU. Your top 12 for this week: Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Indiana, Notre Dame, Alabama, Miami, Ole Miss, Georgia, Boise State, and BYU. So as the bracket holds up, because again, projected conference champions, it would be number 1 Oregon, number 2 Texas, number 3 Miami, and number 4 Boise State would have the buys based on this week's rankings. BYU would be the conference champion in the playing in the first round. They would go to number 5 Ohio State. They would then number 8 seeded Notre Dame would host number 9 seeded Alabama. Number 8 seeded Penn State would host 11 seed Georgia, and number 7 seed Indiana would host number 10 Ole Miss. Now again, this will change by the time we're back here next week, because Indiana plays Ohio State.
Right.
BYU plays Arizona State, so there's potential movement there. and obviously the potential of teams getting upset, as we've seen almost every week throughout this season. Let me start with this. Are we surprised that they put Boise State above the Big 12 champion? That
absolutely not.
Would be in the bye.
Absolutely not, because see, BYU doesn't have a quality loss like Boise State was. Sure, Boise State has not beaten a single G5 team, Power 5 or Power Conference team. But yeah, clearly hanging in with the alleged number one team is certainly qualification enough for you to surpass an actual football participant in the power conferences. So yeah, absolutely. Of course, I'm dripping with sarcasm, but yeah.
Anybody else?
I would just like to state for the record, and Jim can be my witness to this. I sent Jim my rankings and my college football playoff matchups. I smashed the matchups with the exception of Ohio State BYU because I had Colorado in that spot. I had everything else in the bracket the same as the college football playoffs.
I gotta check if BU did they play? They have not played Colorado yet, have they?
They have not.
No,
Yeah,
they are in line to play them, assuming both teams do win out the next two games. They would play in the Big 12 title game.
Of course.
So that I went that route because
draw.
BYU getting just outworked on every side of the football by Kansas.
And that is a bad loss. Like, it's not, see, I could say Northern Illinois. I'm not trying to be an a-hole. It's not like it's not Georgia Tech bad, but it's pretty bad.
It's not Stanford bad.
It's not That's a great call. It's not should have lost to Wisconsin bad, but it's pretty goddamn bad.
I think as far as this list layout goes, obviously, like you said, it's going to get shaken up quite a bit. Obviously, the ramifications of like if an Indiana is out for some reason, and a Tennessee gets in, that's a whole lot of SEC. But I think the actual layout of this particular bracket is fun for me. I think if you're on Kyle's team and you're very anti the weak Penn States and Notre Dame's or so you said,
and Indiana's,
this is a fun one for you, minus the old. But I think Georgia's would be a terrible draw for Penn State, and I think Alabama's not a great draw for Notre Dame. I'm not saying that's not a winnable game, but I don't like it. And it would set up the hypothetical if BYU could pull off the impossible. The BYU Boise State second round would be pretty entertaining. So this would be fun. It's never going to happen, but yeah, I don't know if I have any major issues at this point, just because, like you said, I think there's teams in here that are in here just because if they win, then it looks like you were smart. And if they lose, you're like, well, we knew they were going to lose.
Can I pull the conspiracy theory card here real quick?
Sure.
You usually do.
I know. Well, in this segment, you could argue that, Sean. That's fair.
Yeah.
I feel like they
so.
Yeah, they put BYU. Did you hear me arguing, you haters? I feel like you can make an argument for BYU on the strength of them being 9-1 and Georgia not. That you could put Georgia at 12. Tennessee being out is absolutely asinine. We don't have to talk about that right now. But I think they intentionally put BYU there below Georgia, not so much because they think Georgia is better, but they don't want to be in a position to have two upset games be in there, and they don't want to blow their wad on a Georgia-Ohio State game in the first round. I think TV had something to do with that part of the decision.
I think it always does.
I will say that I think it has to do with having to have a Big 12 team in the top 12. Because there's no other Big 12 team in there. I think that's why they're ahead of Tennessee. I don't think it has any. I think.
Oh yeah, I
think whoever 12 was going to be BYU or Colorado, and everybody else was going to be up because there's no other Big 12 team.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, yeah, they're bumped up because they're conference champions.
Yeah,
no, on that you are correct.
Yeah, so BYU, and I'll bring up the actual full rankings. BYU actually 14th in the rankings.
Absolutely asinine. I don't get it.
Here's are they behind SMU?
I don't like that because that's a team they beat. So with the
same record
in and of themselves, I don't like. I think the problem with BYU is they've had a number of close losses to
Big 12
either,
teams. Big
now-
12 teams who are underrated, generally speaking.
Man, I don't know if I'm ready to buy in on underrated Big 12 teams. I don't think the Big 12 is as strong across the board as
Well, what about the ACC, Jim? And that's the conversation with SMU, is it not?
Well, right, and I'm saying BYU should be above SMU. I'm not disputing that. I think the issue with BYU is they have had a number of close games with teams that are now not ranked, and now you have a loss to a 4-8 Kansas squad.
Oh no! If you're hitting me with the style points argument, you're 1,000,000,000% correct.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm arguing. What I'm saying is the reason why I make the statement I make about the Big 12 is I can make a pretty good argument that they're better than the ACC, and I can certainly make a better argument that they're better than the Mountain fucking West. So with both those things in mind, Boise State and SMU being ahead of them, kind of asinine.
Well, I think style points plays a role. 6-point win at Baylor, 1-point win at intrepid Utah,
3-point loss at Oregon. That's the only thing that matters, man.
No. I'm talking about BYU.
And I know you are. And listen, the style point question has been answered. Burn. You're arguing an argument that's already been agreed to. What I'm telling you is, how is that any better than beating San Diego State and some of these other powerhouses that are on Boise State's schedule, man? Here's the reason why I keep hitting this, guys. The whole reason we banged on the BSC, Joel Klatt, that's me saying, and rightly so. The whole reason we banged on that, and rightly so, is because teams with weak schedules could hide and get to the top. All these, are we at the decades point later? You're getting the same shit. It's teams hiding behind weak-ass schedules, man. It's terrible. And teams are going to see this, scheduling accordingly in the future, and I'm going to suffer either a loss of vocal cords or a fucking heart attack. So, you know.
Yeah, but your weak schedule thing is kind of like, I mean, you can say that Penn State has a weak schedule. It's like, well, they're playing a conference schedule. Like, there's only so much. I mean,
but
they're
then I
in a
get banged
power
on
conference.
for giving the SEC that compensation. That's at least I'm consistent, Sean. That's my point.
Well, just look behind your top 12, right? I mean, obviously we have some issues with BYU. Obviously, no one seems to have any issues with SMU not being in, right? So, like, if you're talking like, and Tennessee's really only out because of the Power 5 rule, or so it would seem. So, like, you know, because BYU
for the conference,
right? Otherwise, Tennessee would be in, and unfortunately, that's where the dice are going to fall. There's only so many spots. But looking at 15 through 25, or maybe you have someone in mind beyond 25 that played a really hard schedule.
What I'm
in
saying,
that list belongs in if someone you're talking about belongs out.
What I'm saying,
I'm looking at a team of middling college football teams, including Colorado, that, you know, is Texas A&M a good team? Yeah. Do I think that, you know, it's much like the NFL where it's like there's only a small percentage that I think are playing championship caliber football and everybody else is just clamoring for a shot.
I'll bottom line it this way. Okay. We cited SMU as okay at 9-1. Why does Penn State and Notre Dame both? Why are they okay at 9-1? Or even Miami, shoot. I mean, granted, I think part of it's because Miami's projected to win the conference, but then they're at 8 because, you know, the committee's trying to not back themselves into a corner, right?
Well, your easy schedule for Notre Dame, just out of your easy schedule for Notre Dame, includes a win at 15 Texas A&M.
And
four
G5 teams on it. Stop that with the Texas A&M. Nobody knows what Texas A&M is yet.
Well, right now, I'm looking at them at 15th in the country.
And I can make an argument that they don't belong. It's the same way Notre Dame lifted Cincinnati into the 4-game playoff.
You want. But my point
I think Notre Dame is also there because their loss came in week 2, and they've been clobbering almost everybody,
including
G5 teams. No, there's no dings here. Like, okay,
no.
Listen, we're away from the topic. 9-1 is penalized for SMU, but it's okay for Penn State and Notre Dame to do it. That's the problem.
But how is 9-1 Texas the number 3 team in the nation when they're out of conferences? Colorado State, a trash Michigan team, San Antonio, and UL Monroe.
Because the SEC is that much better and people just refuse to acknowledge it.
Okay, but their SEC
Who's
schedule
not
is
acknowledging
Mississippi State, Oklahoma, Georgia,
I don't
Vandy,
understand your
Florida.
question then. By the way, who said that there was a problem with Texas at 3? I didn't say
Well,
anything about
no,
that.
I'm coming at if we're coming at 9-1 teams.
Kyle, in what world is anybody putting down the SEC?
Let's get back
looking
on
at
track.
I'm looking at like half the conference in the top 25.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's putting that down. There's a reason why
so
Georgia
let's
can have the losses they have and be at 8-2 and probably be where they are in the standings.
The out-of-conference argument is one that you can address if you'd like, but Texas obviously is getting love for the SEC, right? And if we're establishing that that's not a problem, then why is Texas being brought up? Great. Meanwhile, there is no out-of-conference point to be made with Notre Dame, by the way. Excuse me, what, Mike? Are you doing your EJ impression? Like, what are we doing here?
No, you asked a question. I was answering it rather than just letting you just keep on talking.
Okay, then
about
what
the
is
SEC.
your answer? Like,
My answer is if you're talking about a Penn State team 9-1 that played a shit out of conference schedule, call Texas out for playing a shit out of conference schedule.
But their in-conference schedule blows too, Mike. That's the thing. At least at some point, Texas has beaten somebody who was number 1 in the fucking country.
Okay, and they also beat Michigan, who's going to finish with a record under 500.
But also,
what does that have to do with anything?
Shit out of conference schedule. At least acknowledge that they didn't play anybody out of conference, Kyle.
Who cares?
How is it Penn State? How is it Penn State or Alabama or Miami or Boise State or BYU or Clemson's fault? How the rest of their conference isn't good?
It's not about it being their fault. It's about people not rewarding for playing in a conference that's good, which they're doing with Texas. Cool. Meanwhile, if you lose 2 games in a harder conference, you're penalized for it, which means outright the SEC's penalized.
What SEC
outright,
team is being
okay, hold on.
penalized?
No, Sean, you don't get to do that right now. You don't get to argue that while Mike argues the other thing. If you don't like me saying this, then you need to stop Mike with his out-of-conference bullshit because you're never going to get a good out-of-conference schedule by an SEC team so long as they get penalized for their conference losses and other teams don't.
Do you want the answer as to why teams with 2 losses in the SEC are being punished?
Well, no, I got to answer Mike's question, and then everybody else has questions for something
I think you already answered Mike's question.
You don't have to answer my question.
Texas has a bad out-of-conference schedule, and Mike, if you didn't hear him say it, he said it 3 times. He admitted that the out-of-conference schedule is not an issue. Yes, it's terrible. He said that 3 times.
But stop penalizing other teams.
Okay,
They're not penalizing anybody. They're rewarding the SEC.
I'm done.
The fuck on. Alabama has lost to Vanderbilt,
who was ranked at one point.
Do we want to end the show?
I mean, if you like.
Do we want to end the show?
I can just leave.
Goddamn
answer what
answer.
you want. You know, it's cool.
Apparently it's not, Kyle. You asked for an answer. I'm trying to give an answer.
No, wait, hold on. Jim, honestly, I was told to defend something by Mike. I'm doing that. I don't remember, I said to 9-1 teams. Now we're talking about Texas, something I didn't even bring up.
A 9-1 team.
Okay, cool.
I'm not even talking about Texas. I'm talking about the 2-loss SEC teams that are behind Notre Dame. Because again, Notre Dame is apparently an issue. So I'm trying to address some things. Am I capable of doing that?
We're about to find out.
So Alabama has lost to Vanderbilt. Ole Miss has lost to Kentucky and LSU, who are both unranked. Georgia has the 2 best losses. Okay, if you want to make a case that Georgia should be higher than 10, cool. I'll listen to it because they've also beaten the team that's at number 3. So if there's an issue with any of these SEC teams where they are, the answer is Georgia at 10. That's the answer. Georgia at 10 is the biggest problem.
As long as they're in, Georgia doesn't care.
Tennessee has a loss to Arkansas. So, there's out of those 2 losses, yes, while one of them for every team but Georgia is to a team that is at least good, okay? They also have losses to teams that are bad. So regardless of strength of in-conference schedule, if you lose to a bad team and you lose another time, you have to get punished for it. You do. Also, and like there are bad out-of-conference games in the SEC. There's bad out-of-conference games in every schedule. Alabama beat up on Mercer this weekend. Like,
here's the problem that none of you will address, and it means worse college football for everybody. What you've said in all of this is you get rewarded for being in a weaker conference. If you go out and you have a bad game within your conference and it happens to be against a team that's down, I get it. You should be dinged a little harder, but maybe incentivize teams to schedule better football games for us who have to watch these sons of bitches instead of rewarding teams for hiding in their conference. Because here's what I know. The better out-of-conference schedule than a lot of these teams could be arguably had. Not in the case of Notre Dame. I get it. Texas A&M, blah, blah, blah. Fine. Am I supposed to be impressed by Penn State or Indiana?
I'm not asking you to be impressed by Penn State or Indiana.
And that's the root of all of this. Okay? People are saying that
we've been saying Penn State's overranked all season.
And I question it, then I'm the asshole. What are we doing?
Like the only reason they fell only a couple of spots and they're still where they are is because they kept it close with Ohio State. That's the unfortunate part of the situation.
So the quality loss parable.
Sure. Again, if you've been
overranked
with all
then
season,
you'd like to agree.
if you're overranked all season, you're going to continue to be overranked throughout the year. But if those teams in the SEC, because again, if we go back to the projected matchups, if Georgia is actually, better than number 10, like we probably think they are, then they should have no problem going to Penn State and winning. And they should have no problem then playing Miami in the second round. Like it's not ideal, right?
Thank you for admitting that.
But like they on this board are going to have one of the easier roads, right? Because they're going to have two of the easier games on this board to get to the college football playoff semifinal.
And what's going to happen? We're going to win. Burns going to be all up in my shit. Oh, the SEC had such an easy road because the playoff committee got it friggin' wrong, man. Can
I conspiracy theory you for a second, Kyle? And
let me land the plane, and I'll hand it to you, buddy.
Okay.
You make the valid point that it'll correct itself in the playoff. I would contend, Jim, that the whole purpose of this thing is to handle that before. That's where I'm at. And if I'm wrong, cool. But yeah, go ahead, Sean.
Well, it's a semi-conspiracy theory, and it kind of supports what you're saying, but it may also offer some explanation. Is like, why are these SEC teams below so-and-so and this and that? Maybe it's as a way to reward them for playing in the SEC. And that is to get them in as a lower seed. You have these teams that you feel it's not that they're buying that Penn State is that much better. But if they seed them in the right order, it sets up these 2-loss SEC teams to play a 1-loss SEC team later. Like, this may have more to do with the road than the destination, right? So the bottom line, like you knew going in, Notre Dame could have not played A&M. Notre Dame could have just had another weak game there. But if they went undefeated, maybe even with 1 loss, they're probably in the top 12. Because they're going to sell tickets.
I'm not trying to knock Notre Dame out of the playoff.
Right. Like Notre Dame's playing their butt off. And the other thing to remember is a lot of these, especially Notre Dame being all essentially out of conference, is these games are scheduled miles in advance. So you don't know who's going to be good or bad necessarily.
And Notre Dame does have, and I know it's Kyle's probably most hated conference, but they do have the deal because of their other sports with the ACC. So they play 5 ACC games.
Correct.
That go on a rotation. Like there was a couple of years ago. There was a couple of years ago where they played Clemson when they were good, Miami that one time they were good, and Florida State when they were actually still good. All in the same season.
They all rolled through at the same time. I remember.
Right, like they all came through in the same season. Like this year, for Notre Dame, fortunately or unfortunately, depending what side of the argument you're on, they have Louisville, they had Georgia Tech, they had Florida State, Virginia, and Stanford. Now in the ACC, those are your five. Now Stanford is also a team that they play every year. USC, a team they play every year. Navy, a team that they play every year. Navy, if people don't realize, it was the reason Notre Dame has a football program still to this day is because of the Naval Academy. That's why that rivalry continues. So there's games that are always built in to Notre Dame's schedule. Now, Army is a team they have played 50. I think this Saturday will be the 53rd meeting.
I didn't realize it was that many. Wow, that's
in
crazy.
history. They have played each other again because Notre Dame back in the day, they kind of revolutionized college football in a way and started playing coast to coast, whoever would pick up and play them, and they played Army a lot. So it is a rivalry that goes back into the 1800s. So now, then you look at some of those other games. Yeah, so you have Northern Illinois, the bad loss. You have Miami of Ohio. Well, guess what? And again, just looking at some other teams, there's Chattanooga's on schedules. There's Kent State's on schedules. There's
Citadel.
Mercer's on schedule. So scheduling some G5 schools is not something that other teams don't do. Then you look at some just kind of wrapping up the last couple other games, they added Purdue back. That is a rivalry team that they have played an in-state rival over time. It's not Notre Dame's fault. Purdue stinks. Not Notre Dame's fault that Florida State, the floor fell out, that Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, that was probably supposed to be
That should have been a better game. Yeah,
that was a schedule builder game. That was one to help.
It's not Notre Dame's fault that Lincoln Riley can't coach himself out of a paper bag either.
So first of all, I am laughing very hard at your Lincoln Riley jokes. I have to leave with that.
There are games that have not only been built into this schedule always, but that have been built in, because of the ACC rotation that just happen to be bad games. That's not Notre Dame's fault. The thing that Notre Dame can control is the margin of victory, which outside of a small number of games, Notre Dame's blowing teams out. That's all they're rolling
right now. They're rolling.
That's all they can do.
I acknowledge that they have been eventually blowing G5 teams out, and I'm not going to bring up Northern Illinois because then that'll be seen as a cheap shot and all that. I'm not trying to do that. And we're talking about other teams' scheduled G5s. Not every Power 5 has 4 of them. I think that's worth mentioning. The one thing I would push back on what they can and can't control is if they were really caring about changing that conference and that narrative, which they clearly aren't. They could have joined the Big Ten in the middle of all this kerfluffle, got a shit ton of money from not just NBC, but the entire, I forget the details of the deal with the Big Ten, so forgive me for that. But NBC
there's a backstory behind that, where at one point, it was like late 80s, some early 80s, I don't remember, where Notre Dame was looking to join one. It was like they asked the Big Ten, and the Big Ten was like, "We're only 10 teams. Like, back off, buddy." Like, there was a point where Notre Dame wanted in. Big Ten said no, and then later, I remember it came up because there was a point when the Big Ten was expanding. They were like, "Please, Notre Dame, come join us," and Notre Dame basically told them to F off. So it was a back and forth. So I'd have to look up the dates on that, but I remember that coming up when I was like, "Why did Notre Dame say no to the Big Ten?" And it had something to do with a point where they were looking to potentially join a conference and were told no. So I'll do some research while we talk. But
what I'm saying is something that happened this decade is in the middle of all these movements and I think it was 2 years ago that the newest Big Ten deal was signed. It was done with provisions to add Notre Dame. They were actively recruiting Notre Dame, and Notre Dame said no. So I don't want to hear this. They can't control. Because this was one of the very unique cases where they could have.
They could have, but Notre Dame, because of the structure of their university and how not only athletic but also academic programs are funded through the football program, them staying independent is actually more financially beneficial to the university than a conference share.
You're going to tell me they couldn't broker a deal? I don't know. And by the way, we keep hearing about rivalries. Guys, How many rivalries have been killed in this latest version of restructuring regarding college football? You have that choice to stick to the rivalry or to improve your schedule. Notre Dame is again opting to hide. Now, I'll grant you, if they made those changes now, it wouldn't be for at least 4 years that we would see some of it. I'm not that stupid, but
in 4 years, Notre Dame added a home and home against Texas for what that game that was finalized today. Just for what?
Okay, I mean, it's nice that you could pull one example out of your rectum, but again, the point being made. Well, there's all these games.
Well, the last 2 years they played Ohio State. Again, it's not.
So if they have so little control, what the fuck are we doing here?
I mean, they
either have control or they don't, Jim. That's my point, right? And
well,
if
they scheduled Florida State a year after they were supposed to be in the top 4.
If you're gonna send here, well, they scheduled Texas and all that. What the hell does that have to do with this year, fellas? And I get it. They got shafted by USC being this bad this year. I thought they were gonna be better too. I like that you're making fun of Lincoln Riley. Rightly so.
To be fair, you keep saying that we keep hiding behind a schedule or hiding in a conference. So Jim's point is that we're not continuing to. This year we're caught between a couple home and homes, or this wasn't part of a pair of games. But Notre Dame consistently over the last decade has found those, especially once it was conference rivalry. It was like, well, you don't play a conference title game. I think that's where this deal to play Ohio State for 2 years came from, and that's where this deal to play Texas for 2 years comes from.
So they had to be forced into.
They also did have the deal.
That is not true. Notre Dame has consistently, and the ACC deal actually has hurt them some, but it helps all of their other sports. And Notre Dame is not just a football school. Notre Dame is a powerful school in a lot of sports.
Hold on.
And so they joined the ACC.
I don't think he's saying that, Kyle. So
yeah,
just to be
let
clear.
me finish.
They
joined the ACC in every conference but football.
Right.
And were allowed to continue as an independent. And then when it came time to renew, the ACC wanted them to join as a partial member, essentially. And Notre Dame really, they didn't want to because there were some rivalry games, like the Boston colleges and like some of the ones that we like to sprinkle in every 2 out of every 3 years or whatever we did, that we couldn't do anymore. And so we don't play Michigan State every year. We don't play Michigan every year. And you don't get to now because you have these games locked in. So now we're trying to find creative ways to kind of sprinkle those games in, and A&M was one of them. Virginia Tech a few years ago playing in Blacksburg, like there was a chance we threw them in the schedule. It's hard to predict 4 and 5 years out what some of those teams are going to look like. But I think scheduling Texas in a few years, that's going to be a very good team.
Yeah.
And whenever you schedule Ohio State, that's going to be a good product. Maybe not a great product, depending what year you get them, but it's going to be a good product.
I keep getting Ohio State. Hold on. I keep getting Ohio State thrown in my face. Last year, I said Notre Dame had a good schedule several times on this very show, Jim. So,
I did want to point out the research. I like the choice by Notre Dame to not join the Big Ten only because it's a level of spite that's held on for like 100 years. That they tried to join twice the Big Ten. Once in 1899, they applied to join the Big Ten along with Indiana and Iowa, but they were not invited to the meeting where the charter members were gathered. And in 1926, they were interested again, but Michigan reportedly worked against their membership. So maybe that's the dawn of the Michigan rivalry or part of it. But whatever the case, when they came crawling and like, hey, Notre Dame, it really helped rate it, we're like, no, you know what? It's fine. And they realized that they do have a perfect situation for where the BCS is, and they do have a perfect situation to get into playoffs, and they don't need you to boost their TV ratings because they play on TV every week. So, yes, Notre Dame does have an edge in certain areas. I disagree some in hiding in a schedule, but I'm not going to go farther into it because time-wise.
Well, and
really
I did a little research as well. Kyle is right that none of the SEC teams in the top 11 have 4 G5 schools. I will point out that 4 out of the 5 have either 3 G5 schools or 2 G5 and 1 FCS. So there is that. There is not 4 of them. That is factually correct.
We've talked about them having bad out-of-conference schedules. Cool, man. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. I just was pointing out the factual there. Last question I have before we move to the picks for the week. And it is one of the games that we will pick. Is the Indiana team that currently sits in the 7-10 spot with Ole Miss. They play at Ohio State this weekend. We know Indiana's 10-0. We know that they're scheduled to this point I believe on the ESPN show tonight, it is ranked 103rd in terms of strength of schedule up to this point. Now, so them sitting at number 5, the question is this. Ohio State, spoiler alert for the pick'em, a 13-point favorite. Can Indiana survive a loss at all? Because with a loss here, they would need either Oregon to lose one or Ohio State to lose again with 1 week to go to get into the Big Ten title game. Can Indiana survive a loss and stay in the field of 12 next week?
I'd like to start, and then I can shut up. Okay. The short answer is no. I don't think Indiana can survive a loss. I don't think. I think they need this, and I think it's part of the reason they're here. It's kind of like me at the bottom of my top 10s, where I'm like, look, this team probably doesn't belong here, but I know they're about to play, and they're either going to play their way in or they're just going to fall right the hell back out. But I think, I was going to sprinkle it in, but it didn't feel like the right time. I think, Kyle, Indiana, your gripes with Indiana, I think they're at a good spot for your gripes because they're going to do one of two things. They're either going to flop, like pretty much this whole panel is probably going to assume they're going to do, but I could be wrong. They could flop and just fall out, and then you have a team like Tennessee or an SMU or whoever else the committee feels is right, just slip right into this top 12 discussion. Or they're going to vindicate themselves. That would be, obviously, the real question would be, when you say, can they survive any loss? I guess the ultimate question would be if it was like a slugfest. If it's a low-scoring nonsense, I don't know that they survive. I think they're going to have to get some style points, even if it's losing in a shootout. I just still don't see if they lose that game. Even if it's close, I'm sticking to my guns. I think they fall out. It would be interesting. They would have an argument if they barely lost.
We now, granted, it was to a considerably worse opponent, but we saw BYU fall 9 spots this week with a loss. Because again, their resume not strong, stronger than Indiana, but not a strong resume.
Yeah, I think the rest of the resume is not good enough, and much to what Kyle was saying, there's some SEC teams behind them. There's some other teams, teams like Texas A&M, who we all agree is great. Thank you for nodding your head, Kyle. That was strictly sarcasm. I speak it too. But I think there's too many teams in the wings, and it's too late in the season to take that loss. There's no time to clamor back. I think Indiana's out if they lose, and more on that later.
All right. Kyle, Mike.
I'll let Mike have the floor on this first.
Go ahead, Mikey B.
No shot. They lose, they're done. Season over. Enjoy the Meineke Car Care Bowl.
Listen, you son of a bitch, that's a great game.
Blockbuster bowl.
Oh
man, I have a footstool.
No, get him out of here. This is not the time to bring this motherfucker.
EJ, I didn't text you. This motherfucker texts me and says, "Let me know when you're close to tool time. I'll jump in then." We're not near there. Get out.
So
he's actually out.
He jumped on it.
I don't mean to be this guy, but I'm going to be accused of it anyway. Yes, they're still alive. What makes me think that? Please see Boise State. If it's close, much as the evil twin himself very astutely pointed out, they're going to keep them in, man. They got the quality loss.
You have to keep Boise State in because you have to take a group.
This isn't about Boise State. I'm using them as an example for Indiana.
But
you think it's the G5 thing that's saving them? Cool.
I mean,
where was Boise? Can you flip to the big list again?
I'm just saying you have to keep a G5 school in there. The only other
Boise would have been in. Okay.
G5 school is either Army, who plays Notre Dame this week, or Tulane, who is right behind them. Like, you have to keep one of them in there. That's all I'm saying.
You're right, Indiana but Boise is naturally scheduled 12. That's not the answer.
Yeah,
they're naturally scheduled 12. They're boosted to 4, but they're naturally scheduled 12. That's why I have a leg to stand on here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, they were voting.
You don't have to agree. Just tell me it makes sense.
Sure.
You don't like it. Well, I'm sorry, man. That's what I got.
I'm just saying you gotta take a G5 school. They have to be alive. Like, if SMU was in, then I feel like you would have a leg to stand on because SMU has now a not so great looking loss to BYU. That's all I'm saying.
Right. But they're in the playoff without
his
the
point
boost
is they're
of four.
voted in as one of the 12 best.
Yes,
They're
because
sitting
they
at
also
12.
lost a game the first week of the season and have not looked bad the rest of the way.
Was it 1 or 2? I know I'm hitting you with technicalities.
Even if
It doesn't
if it
matter.
was
It doesn't
two,
matter. Yeah,
losing-
I agree. Yeah.
We've said on this show, losing a game in September doesn't feel like it's going to hurt as bad losing a game in December.
No argument at all.
This is the proof. Texas A&M losing to Notre Dame early. They have a shot if things break their way. If they beat Texas and play in the SEC title game, they may actually get in with 3 losses because they're the team that lost in the SEC title game.
Well, I think they wouldn't. Okay. I just see because they would beat Texas. That would vault them up a possible loss in the SEC. Gotcha. I was like,
That's what I'm saying.
The wires didn't click in my head.
A 4-loss Texas A&M team. No shit.
Yeah, they're done. I do. Here's the thing. I don't think Indiana is going to lose a close game. I think if Indiana is going to lose, it is going to be a blowout. I think if they win, it is going to be close. So I think if a blowout loss happens, they're done, and I don't think they can recover from that. So because with Kyle's point, I kind of agree. If it is a close loss, see Penn State, Indiana will still be alive. However, just because Indiana, their first thing that even resembles a test was Michigan. Okay. And I say that respectfully, given the house that I live in.
Homer.
But you know what I mean? But like the first thing that resembled a test, Indiana almost failed. Like, so I don't think it is going to be a close loss. But we'll talk about that here in a second.
More on that later.
We've made it all the way. Devin got his wish. He said, I'm glad Kyle hasn't dragged the Oregon Ducks through the mud this week because we didn't have time, Devin.
I technically did by calling the Big Ten bag, but listen, they're undefeated. I can't touch them for now. It is what it is.
For now, yes, for now. All right, we will bring the man in from the security van, even though it's not toll time yet. But we will move on to the college football pick'ems. We have finally made it there this week, mercilessly, and we will start. This Saturday, big noon on Fox. It is number 5 Indiana. They travel to number 2 Ohio State. Indiana 10-0, Ohio State 9-1, a 13-point home favorite for the Buckeyes. Your over/under on this one is 52. Mike, we'll start with you.
It's a great number.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Fuck it, I don't give a shit. Give me Indiana plus the points. Give me the Indiana Hoosiers to win the fucking football game, because then the question becomes, what do you do with Ohio State? If we're going to have a lot of turmoil, I might as well pull the pin in the grenade, roll that bitch in the middle of the room, and shrug my shoulders and go, all right, so here it is. Hoosiers and the over.
You're going to be real angry when Texas becomes number 1 after that, aren't you?
No,
EJ.
Because Ernest will still leave the Chiefs at number 1 with 3 losses. I'm used to it.
Give me a high five.
Well played. Well played.
I'll fence it here on this one. I'll take.
Are you okay? Hold on.
My voice is gone. Yeah.
Why are you here? What are
you had doing? A voice this afternoon. What the fuck, Clyde?
I told you.
You barely contribute with a voice.
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
It's
good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while.
You've been here for 3 minutes and just gotten absolutely obliterated.
Jesus Christ. I've never hit you that hard, EJ. Fucking Christ.
I know.
Damn, it's easy when he can't fight
wins
back.
the game, but give me Indiana the points and give me the over.
There you go.
Wait, hold on.
Fuck you.
You gotta love
we need some comedy here, man. You guys, that last segment was fucking amazing, for the record.
Of course. You love drama.
Give me Indiana and over. Give me Indiana and over.
Do it. Thank you, Michael.
Can somebody talk about what Sean just said about I got him, but he can't fight back? Holy shit.
I can't.
Jeez, man. Drive that van by a fucking Starbucks and get a hot tea. What are you doing?
Hit the Walgreens. Get some Vicks cough drops or something.
I mean, Sean, he's 1 year old. You just did that to Eagles Jaworski, bro. What the fuck?
So, EJ, Indiana's 5, Ohio State's 2. Give us hand signals. What do we...
Jesus Christ. Ohio State was in the game, obviously, but give me Indiana on the points and give me the over.
Oh, my God. Okay. Student of the game.
I think this is him trying to model his voice after Michael Strahan a little bit, maybe. I don't know.
Really.
Hey, I'm trying to bring some. Not really. I'm trying to bring some grace to your presentation, man. Holy shit. Yeah. Listen, America needs Ohio State to win, which typically makes me think that they won't when that happens. But against my better judgment, give me Jim's favorite multi-hair colored coach.
That would be painted-haired bitch. That
didn't want to be. Listen, so be it. Give me. Gosh, I guess I'll go over. That's a really good number, though. Slight over, maybe. Yeah, we'll say that. Yeah, there you go.
All right, very good, Sean.
You got the Godfather up there. I'll make you an offer you can't understand.
Oh God, no!
Damn.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I hate to love kicking a guy when he's down.
I know I'm the villain on this show, but Christ almighty, Sean.
I'm sick. I got my halls in. I'm fighting a cold. I'm having a hard time. So to see someone struggling harder than me, I felt like I had no choice. In hindsight, I probably did. But I'm playing that G5 schedule right now.
God damn.
Anyway, I don't think Indiana's good enough to beat Ohio State at home or on the road or at a neutral site or on the moon. I'm going to take I'm going to take Ohio State. I think they're gonna roll in this one, but I don't think Indiana scores enough points to push this over. I think it stays on.
Oh my God.
Yeah, look, everybody knows how I feel about the painted-haired bitch. But Indiana's been a fun story. Despite what Kyle wants to say, it's cool to see a new team in the top 10. But unfortunately, depending what state you live in, that's ending this week. Ohio State is going to clobber Indiana. So give me Ohio State plus. I will take a slight under because Indiana's been beating teams because they can't stop them from beating teams. Ohio State is going to stop them from beating them. So I will take the under there. All right. The only reason this game is on the schedule is because this is the one we've had circled for hopefully getting this team out of the conversation. It is number 4 Penn State. They are 9-1, an 11.5 point road favorite at Minnesota, who is 6-4. Your over under on this one is 45. This one Saturday, 3:30 Eastern time. The Big Ten on CBS. We're in November. It still doesn't sound right. Mikey B, what do you got?
If one grenade is good, 2 is better.
Yes.
Come on, EJ. What the shit?
Give me the Gophers plus the
Come
points. But I do think Penn State wins the game.
EJ, I think you're innocent on this one. I think that was a misfire.
EJ, we can't hear you at all. Probably for the better.
Yeah, it'd probably help his voice.
Yeah, don't microphone issues suck.
I will take the Gophers to win the football game. I do not, or not to win the football game, to plus the points. I think Penn State wins the game. I think it's a 10-point game.
You saw my eyes get big.
Yeah, I said
EJ.
the wrong thing.
All right, EJ, give us a thumbs up for a Penn State cover or thumbs down for a Minnesota cover.
Oh, hold on.
No,
Hold
we
on.
didn't
Hold on.
ask you
Hold
to
on. Hold on. I got
text
this. I got this. I got this. I got this.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, so thumbs down. Minnesota.
Give me Minnesota. Give me Minnesota in the over.
And then, are we going over? Are we going over or under?
I have all of his picks.
Like
Minnesota in the over.
Well, we're going over. Got it.
Here's my picks.
Hey,
No one can hear you.
We got
Here we
him.
go. Studio game.
It's a computer.
Yeah, listen, by the way, love the fact that EJ Christian's impression by Mikey Burns sounds a little bit like Mr. T, but okay.
I was
by the
going
way,
to go more for the where is she? I was gonna go
by the way, for those that have played Grand Theft Auto, does anybody feel like Sean ripped EJ out of the security van and then ran his ass over with it previous segment?
I have a habit of doing that.
Minnesota, more like Minnesota. I don't dig it when it comes to the Golden Gophers. Give me Penn State continuing on. Laying down the dad jokes. I thought we wanted comedy here, and I'm doing it without somebody getting run over by a fucking van. So yeah, give me the over as well. Slight over.
All right, Sean.
I'm going to chalk the word a little bit, mostly because I know nothing about the University of Minnesota's football team, and I hate the other one. Nittany Lions, more like Nittany lying down when they should have been playing football. They're going to get caught with,
there we go.
Caught with their tails between their legs. The Golden Gophers are going to run all over them in this one.
The tails between the legs was good, Sean. I liked it.
Over or under, Sean?
It's I'm gonna take Minnesota. Minnesota's gonna go for it all, and they're
God
gonna.
Damn it!
You want to start running one-liner dad jokes at me? I'm gonna.
You give an over or under? Jesus Christ, we're trying to expedite a little bit of speed on these segments.
Oh, they're not gonna score enough points. This is going way under.
Okay, way under. Got it.
You see me laughing, Sean. It's all good, buddy.
The under is going to be the play here, and the reason the under is going to be the play here is because the only way you beat Penn State is to keep them from scoring, which the Gophers are going to do on a cold Minnesota afternoon. Give me the Gophers to cover and win this game and get Penn State out of the conversation with 2 losses. So Gophers.
Jim, what's the tagline at the end of the show again?
Go for the win.
Go for the win.
Go for the win. You got it. This guy gets it. This guy, where's the damn sound? There it is.
This guy gets it.
Devin has Penn State and the over. All right, next one. We go Saturday, 3:30 Eastern time on ESPN. It is number 14 BYU. They are 9-1. They travel to number 21 Arizona State. All of a sudden alive. 8-2. They're a 3.5-point home favorite. Over under on this one, 48.5. Mikey B.
There's something about a Mormon and a devil joke in here somewhere, and I don't know either one.
I wouldn't touch it.
It's getting hot in here.
Give me the Devils, because fuck the Book of Mormons. And the over.
All right, EJ.
Jesus Christ. Give me BYU on a bounce back. And the over.
Really? What are they bouncing back from?
Student of the game.
This is really an incredibly interesting football game because Scatterboo is back, and Arizona State is that team that is playing with house money. They were forecast to be among the worst in the division, as was BYU, and shocking the world. Damn it. This is whatever it is, I'm getting the under. I'll tell you that much. And the spread being, what is it, 2.5 makes this
3.5.
3.5, excuse me, makes this very difficult to pick. Considering the fact that they almost lost to UCF while BYU crushed UCF, that being said, they had the better quarterback in it. God dang it.
Flip a coin, Kyle.
Yeah, seriously. Let me go with Scatterbo and company. I'm gonna fork over a win for the Sun Devils. How about that? There you
go. I like that. Over under.
He went under.
Oh, it's Big 12. It's the over. Come on, death taxes.
You said under.
Well, he
If
said
I
he
said
changed.
under, I lied.
It's over
Yeah.
now.
He lied.
I changed.
All right, Sean.
Everything is over.
I think I'm going to take. I think BYU is going to leave their troubles behind them. I'm going to take BYU to regain control of their schedule, regain control of their destiny. They're not going to lose yet. They need to lose in a couple of weeks. So, give me BYU. Give me the over.
This game being in Arizona State makes it even more intriguing because I think if it's in BYU, they have a huge, they have
Provo
a big,
is huge, man.
Yeah, like they have a big bounce back at home in front of their crowd. They've had close games. They now come off of a bad loss. I don't think they can recover in a week's time. I think Arizona State's going to win this game. Death taxes and the over in the Big 12. So Arizona State with the win would put themselves in a position with the win in the final week of the regular season.
I was going to say they won't get in, but I guess if they would have a shot at winning the.
This would put them in the 1 or 2 spot.
Hey Jim, you know who else that helps though, right?
That's fine. I mean, they're already in, so they also have to win their last 2 games to get in there. So
I meant Colorado for those that didn't know.
Yes, that was a prime.
Hey now,
comment, Kyle. All right, Devin has the Devils and the under, and then last one we go to the confines of Yankee Stadium. It is this year's Shamrock Series. Is number 19 Army. They are 9-0, taking on number 6 Notre Dame, who is 9-1. A 14-point favorite in this one. 44.5 is your over/under. Saturday night, 7 Eastern time on NBC. Mikey B.
I don't want either team to win because they're playing in fucking Yankee Stadium.
You know who loses? America.
That's fair.
That's right.
Yeah. But unfortunately, college football is made to where somebody has to win. So do I just sit here and go 2-0? Do I get real angry? Do I take the over of 3 in the BYU game last week?
If you're going close, then Army's covering the spread.
Jim, we've talked about it. It's style points. Style points is what's needed. Notre Dame and style points. Give me the Fighting Irish and the over.
All right, EJ.
As much as I want to, be patriotic here, but I can't do it. Notre Dame the over.
All right, student of the game.
Yeah, you're being patriotic for the country of Ireland, and there's no fighting that here. Listen, I too have Notre Dame and the over.
All right, Sean.
Yeah, first of all, there's nothing wrong with winning at Yankee Stadium as long as it's not the Yankees.
Amen to that, brother.
I always root for someone to win at the Yankee Stadium. It's just the other team.
Amen
yeah, give me this one. Army's put a good year together, much like Navy was, but they're about to get shamrocked in the series here.
Hi-oh!
Notre Dame to roll, and they're going to score enough to push this over. I'm with Mikey.
I will say if Notre Dame hosting a game here adds revenue to the Yankees for filling that fucking stadium and they get Juan Soto because of it, I'm blaming the Irish.
Yeah, he's going to be a Philly anyway.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how that works. Look, Notre Dame's had a lot of success in Shamrock Series games. They need the style points. Marcus Freeman's been showing them the tape of the NIU game every week before they take the field. I don't expect that to change this week. So give me Notre Dame to cover and the over as well. Devin has Notre Dame and the over as well in this one. So that closes up the college football slate for week number 13. We will get back on that next week. Of course, now we move to the National Football League. We go to week number 12 in the NFL. Your bye weeks this week, heavy bye weeks, actually. Falcons, Bills, Bengals, Saints, Jets, and Jaguars. Although for a couple of those teams, you may not be able to tell that they're actually not playing. But we start Sunday, 1:00 Eastern time on Fox. It is the 8-2 Vikings. They're a 3.5-point road favorite at the Chicago Bears, who are 4-6. Your over-under on this one is 39.5. Sean, we'll start with you.
Yeah, the other week I really talked up the NFC North, and I was like, man, this thing is anybody's game, and the Bears are looking good, and everybody's I think it's starting to settle, much like I said at the beginning of the season. The Lions are just going to pull away, I guess, and the Bears are just going to fall out. The Bears are who we thought they were. Give me Minnesota, Skull, and 30, and they'll push this over. Yeah, I'll take the over in Minnesota.
All right, let's do the game.
Does you dropping the who they are who we thought they were pun require or qualify as a?
We thought they were.
Does that qualify as a cardinal sin? Anyways,
Kyle, more on that later.
More on that later. That's right. Let me. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm with everything Sean said. Give me the Vikings, and I believe you have the over as well. So there you go. Yeah. Sorry. Standing jumping jack. There we go.
All right, EJ.
I'll tell you what. I've been very impressed with the Vikings last couple of weeks. Starting season 5-0. We didn't know if they were a Super Bowl contender or not. Whatever. And they lose 2 in a row. You figure, okay, come back down to earth. Last 3 games, obviously against shit teams, obviously, but honestly, doing a job. That said, divisional optics aside, give me the Bears, give me under.
Yes, I pointed out all those shit teams and all that on the Earnestly Speaking
of the
Game report.
There it is. There it is. Mikey B.
Can someone tell me if Ernest had Minnesota in his top 10 last week? Because for someone who was impressed by the optics of the Minnesota Vikings, to sit here and say that, I'm impressed by their octaves and then not have them in the top 10 and then pick against them.
I am not impressed with EJ's octaves tonight.
His octave is trash. His optics are worst. Optimus Prime, all that fun stuff.
Crap Thunder.
There's no
way. In his defense, 12 points against the Jaguars probably wasn't enough to crack the top 10. But
one of them is coached by Matt Eberflus. Enough said. Give me the Vikings and the over.
Hot seat, baby.
Buddy, that thing's been on fire for 8 weeks.
He's got great hair and a nice beard. Okay? Give the guy a break.
Yeah, he'd be a great defensive coordinator and insert random college school here.
Hey, listen, I said it should have been fired in the offseason. Don't come my way.
Apparently, there's reports the longer this season goes, that there's teams, particularly NFC. I don't know if a team in Chicago is one of them that is regretting not hiring Jim Harbaugh when they had the chance.
Oh my God!
Staring at you, Chicago. But that said, the Vikings are going to Eber flush the Bears this week.
Nice.
Give me the Vikings to cover, and I will take an over as well on that one. Devin
really
has the Bears.
scolded.
Devin, the only bold one, going with EJ and the Bears in the under. So good luck.
By the way, Vikings still win the game.
Correct. But good luck with that. All of that. Next one we go to Sunday, 4:25 Eastern time on Fox. This is the 6-4 Cardinals. They're a 1-point road favorite at 5-5 Seattle. Your over/under on this one is 47.5. Sean, we go to you.
More on this Cardinals team later, but yeah, I was very anti Cardinals until I had a chance to catch up on their kind of track record here over the last 5 games. I think they're starting to put a football team together down there in the desert. Having said that, they're new to leading the NFC West. The NFC West is just going to slap each other around, I think, here for the next couple of weeks. And I think it starts in Seattle. And that is a hard place for someone who's new at the top to defend anything. I'm going to take the Seahawks. Well, I guess it's a 1, so I'll take them just to cover and win outright. And at 47.5, there's 2 good defenses. Cardinals playing good defense. I'm going to take the under.
To be fair, Sean, they could cover and tie, but
that's fine. I'll take that. It would be a very Cardinals Seahawks thing.
It would be. Student of the game.
Well, listen, I like a lot of what Sean said. I don't know that I'm prepared to call the Seattle defense good, but I do think that there are times when the Cardinals offense does not perform to snuff. Being said, give me the Cardinals for now. It's less about me being unimpressed with the Cardinals and more about me being unimpressed by the Seahawks. But Kyle, they beat the Niners last week. Yeah, the Niners suck lately. They're cooked. I'm sorry. Call me a homer if you want. Wait, that's not how that works. Anyways, yeah, give me the under. I'm not as disdained about Jim as maybe Jim is about the Cowboys, but the Cardinals, I think, are sliding themselves into a place where they control their destiny very clearly.
Let me just ask a simple question. When the 49ers play, do you care that they're playing?
I do, but I often can't watch because I'm busy getting paid to do the Duval.
You are not as disdained about the Niners as I am about the Cowboys.
Well, you asked if I
literally do not care.
If somebody paid you to not watch the Cowboys, you wouldn't watch the Cowboys. That's what I'm experiencing.
There's been a couple times this year
I was
I've not watched
to Jim during the Cowboys game, and I asked him what the score was, and he had to check.
Yeah, like there's been a couple of games this year I've not watched the Cowboys for free. So if anybody wants to pay me to do it, DM me. I'll give you my Venmo.
Gives me mental health, Jim.
Like I will gladly get paid to not watch the Dallas Cowboys. EJ, Cardinals.
Mental health
to skip a Cowboys fan.
I'm with you, brother. Seriously, I'm with Kyle though. Cardinals off a bye week. The Seahawks, I don't trust at all. Give me the Cardinals to win, but I'll take the over on this one, though.
All right.
Who do you trust?
Mikey B.
You know, coming off of 2 good wins, finally getting Tua Tagovailoa back under center. I think the Miami Dolphins. Oh, sorry, wrong run sheet. Wrong run sheet. We decided to switch this at the last minute. My bad. Jonnu Smith and Tyreek Hill find the end zone multiple times. I lost all my train of thought. One of these teams has a guy on their roster named Maserati Marv. Give me that team because it's a cool name. Cardinals.
That is a dope name.
By the way, the guy that requested the change, not even in the fucking building right now. Like, what are we doing?
I wasn't gonna say that, but
God, can I just say neither? Like this
tie.
You could call for a draw, Jim.
That would be a pick for Seattle.
That actually would be. Yeah, a tie would be the Seahawks covering. God. Well, EJ, you said Cardinals, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Seahawks and the over. What? I can't. You still owe me $3 for the 2 times I've used your bets this year.
I'm sorry. You picked the wrong weeks, brother. You wait till I go 5-0 2 weeks in a row, then you
You
take
just
2
throw
wins
out
a
the
year.
Bears are who we
That's a
thought
you
they were.
problem,
EJ.
Jim.
You just do that.
But they are who we thought they were.
Now, EJ, you do it.
You know what?
Just give me the Bears are who we thought they were.
The Bears are who we thought they were.
There we go.
Love the hook.
But they are who we thought they were.
All right,
Perfect.
next one we go to 425 on Fox. It is the 5-5 49ers. Travel to 7-3 Green Bay and EJ's 10 Green Toes. They are a 1.5 point home favorite. 48 is your over under. Sean.
49ers at the pack. Man, I can't believe I had the 49ers in the playoffs. Not looking like a good pick. And I had the Packers out. But no, I the way these two teams are playing, it's not the beginning of the season. It's not what I thought it was going to be. I personally don't like either of these teams to make a long run, but in this particular situation, I'll take the Green Bay Packers. Give me Jordan Love. And yeah, they'll cover that. And at 48, McCaffrey's on the field. Packers defense is sliding. Give me the over.
All right, let's do it in the game.
Slight under, Packers win.
All right. But do the Niners cover? Because technically it could be a 1 point win.
True, and I don't think they do, no.
Okay. EJ.
I always tease that, must-win games, and, Jim gets mad about that. I say must-win games when it shouldn't be must-win games.
Well, it's not week 1, so you got that going
But
for you, Chief.
this game is the Niners season right here, to be honest with you. This is the season right here. So they better win this game. I'm going to take them just because of the desperation factor, but I'll take a slight under as well, too.
Who do you trust? Hubba, hubba, hubba. Money, money, money. Who do you trust?
That's not a bad intangible by EJ in his defense. I see where he's going.
It's good.
Well, that's par for the course. No. Mikey B.
I've thought long and hard because of the sure shoulder of Brock Purdy about how that's going to play out. And then I remembered to myself, this Packers team only managed to score an abysmal amount of points against the Bears and needed a bailout to come away victorious.
Good point.
So I'll take Jordan Mason and Christian McCaffrey to combine for 735 carries, more than Derrick Henry will have the entire rest of his life.
Insane.
And I will take him to eclipse 1,000 rushing yards, score 73 touchdowns apiece, and win 8,635-0. Give me the Niners by $1 billion and the over.
So you are right about the Packers struggling to beat the Bears. That was not in Lambeau Field. That was at Soldier Field. As Kyle so gently put it, the 49ers, quote, suck right now. So I will take the Packers at home because it's such if this is a bigger spread in the Packers' favor, I'd probably maybe consider the Niners to cover. But at 1.5, that's such a small margin. So I'm going to take the Packers to cover and win this game. And I think it'll be a slight over as well.
Old Bay, Green Bay, Parrot Bay, Old Bay, Niners by $1 million, says Mikey B.
All right, last one for the NFL slate. It is the Har Bowl, starting off Thanksgiving week.
That's horrible.
Brother versus brother. We have the 7-4 Ravens. They are a 3-point road favorite at the 7-3, and I believe 5th seed in the AFC currently. Los Angeles Chargers. Your over/under on this one is 50. Monday night, 8:15 Eastern Time, ESPN and ABC. Sean, we'll go to you.
More on these two teams later, but hopefully not too many because we're at an hour and a half. But yeah, I mean, I really like everything the Chargers are doing. I think they're putting together the right kind of team, and I think they're setting themselves up to be a real challenge for the Kansas City Chiefs in the West. Unfortunately, I think the Ravens' loss last week happened at a real bad time for the Chargers, and I think they're going to turn around and they're going to play Ravens football, and they're going to be prepared. I am going to, and they get the extra day. I'm going to take the Ravens. I think the Ravens go out there, they cover, they win, and at over/under at 50, I'm going to take the under there, though, but I think it's a good number. I'm going to take them to the slight under.
All right, let's do the game.
Listen, say what you will about the Harbaugh Bowl and making fun of it and all of that. Here's the thing. And by the way, get Jack ready to go. I don't think you're ready for where I'm going to take this. As much as I've enjoyed the Ravens and picked and favored them, here's the thing. Coming off of playing a Steeler team always weakened you. I made the pick when it came to Eagles, Jaworski and Sean and their love of the Eagles over the Red Tails. I'm taking it here. Harbaugh and the Chargers beat down a Ravens team still tired from playing the Steelers.
Better than us. Nobody.
And what sick bastard put this on the Monday of Thanksgiving week? Fuck.
Crazy.
You taking the over and the under, Kyle?
That would be the under, sir. Yes, thank you. Slight under, much like Sean said.
EJ.
Much like San Francisco, Baltimore needs a bounce back game big time. And they'll get it here on the road. Give me the Ravens to cover and win outright. Give me the over.
I guess you think they get over being sore. Fair enough.
Mikey B.
This Ravens secondary can't stop anybody with speed. What does the Chargers weapons have? Speed. Quentin Johnson, fast. Other receivers in that room, including Ladd McConkey, fast. At the end of the day, the Chargers find a way to move on from almost having one of the best second half collapses in NFL history. More on that later. I'll take the Chargers to win. I will take the over because I think Justin Herbert will replicate exactly what he did at the start of that game against the Cincinnati Bengals, get the ball out of his hand quickly, get the hand into McConkey and to Quentin Johnston, and let the Chargers run. And I will take the over.
Go Chargers.
Very good.
Go.
Catching up on the comments. Missed the last couple games. Devin had Cardinals and under. Packers and over. He has the Ravens and the over in this one. Looking at the historic records in the Har Bowl, John owns a 2-0 record against younger brother Jim, but that stops this week because the Ravens are coming off that Steelers game. The Chargers are coming off a bad second half. They're going to want to get that out of their memory, and I'm sure it was a unpleasant first day of practice this week for the Chargers because of that very reason. So I'm taking the Chargers to not only cover but win this game, and I will take the slightest of unders because I think the Chargers will need to control the Ravens' attack to win it, and I think they have the defense to do it. See first half of Sunday Night Football this past week, and the course of the season. Although this was the first time I think a team has scored over 20 against the Chargers this year. So that is another reason I am taking the under. Yeah.
Shut up, Ernest.
All right, buddy.
Mike, if I would pay money to see the two of you in a room together when Mike pulls that shit.
I mean,
when EJ pulls that
real weird
like,
there.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. 6 losses by less than 1 score. At this point, Ernest opening his mouth, it doesn't surprise me anymore. He put the curse on him 2 years ago when he took him to win the Super Bowl. What happened? Joe got hurt. This year, the defense can't stop anybody. Hey, by the way, pick them to go 0-16 next year so I can actually have an enjoyable football season. Thanks, bud.
While I'm doing all this, can somebody please give me my Lucifer Morningstar?
Oh, God.
I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen.
It's for me, right?
Yes, sir.
10 claws down? Nah.
Yes.
Fucked up. Sorry, fucked up.
Stupid.
All right, Michael.
All right, let's continue on as we do each and every week. We look at the power rankings, brought to you by Ernest EJ Christian.
He wasn't here last week. I boycott dancing.
Oh, you see, I'm swaying like the ocean because Miami's the game we should have picked.
All right, we look at our top 10 and our bottom 5 in the National Football League each week. We will start with EJ's picks and EJ's picks alone. So if you're looking at the screen, we'll be looking at the right side of the screen with EJ's bottom 5. EJ, who is in your bottom 5?
I'm going to do the best I can, not crack my voice here. 32, the Titans. 31, the G-Men. 30, the Jaguars. 29, the Panthers. 28, the Jets. But again, you can put like another 6 teams down here.
I was going to say, I don't even. There's really no need to spend a lot of time on this now until we bring up the other graphic because the 5 teams that are in your bottom 5 are among the 5 shittiest teams.
Yeah, congratulations.
So there's
Gets
others
lower?
there. We'll talk about them in a second. We'll discuss that later. EJ, who is your top 10?
Top 10, here we go. Number 10, the Cardinals. Number 9, the Texans. 8, Chargers. Damn. 7 Packers. 6, Ravens. 5, Steelers. 4, Chiefs. 3, Eagles. 2, Bills. 1, Man Cam on the Lions.
I for one am shocked.
Can I just say it to get it out of the way?
Go ahead.
What the fuck are we doing here?
Of course. What's wrong, Kyle?
Second consecutive week that the damn Vikings are out of the top 10. That's fucking adorable. What are we doing here? What are we doing?
Didn't he just
here?
like them in the previous segment?
Oh, they got good optics. Apparently,
did.
they don't have top 10 optics.
He did.
Jesus fucking Christ! What are we?
EJ
This is like, what are we doing here? Anyways, that being said, I like you rewarding the Steelers. I like you remembering that the Packers are in the fucking league. That's nice. I don't know that I'm ready to put them ahead of the Chargers right now. The Texans, if they're in the top 10, they're not. Should currently be beneath the Cardinals.
I think the Texans are the weird spot here.
Yeah,
I
they're
don't
going
have
to
a
be a
huge
2-2
problem
team.
otherwise.
I mean, how are the Vikings not ahead of the Packers? Didn't they fucking beat them?
There's that.
That's not always the case for my list either, though. Sometimes it's like who's playing the best.
Just put them in the
right
top
now.
10.
Yeah, let's put them up.
If I could over again, honestly, I'd take out the Texans and put in the Vikings.
Or you could have just fucking done that and gotten it right.
Well, then do it. So fuck it. Get over it. Come on
Peer
that.
pressure works.
That works.
I for one am shocked. I don't even know if it's pleasantly by the fact that you've actually put the Chiefs at 4.
Yeah.
That actually surprises me, especially because it was a close loss to now your number 2 team. So I am actually shocked that because you had them at 2, so you dropped them 2 spots. Is it so? Let me ask a question in regards to the Chiefs dropping to 4. Is that rewarding the Eagles for beating the Commanders as well?
Yeah, and a couple of things. That plus they're getting better. The issues we have. They were what 2-2 for the bye, Sean.
Yeah, I think that checks out. I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah,
we lost.
I think
early.
that's right.
We won 6 in a row.
There we go. So I mean, right there, and
fair.
All issues that we have with them at 2-2 that we all said were within fixable issues. They've seemingly so far have fixed.
Okay.
So.
Looking at it, EJ, I have the same. I mean, I think the top 4 is going to be very similar for most lists. But looking at the Eagles 3, which I almost did, I think I like your Eagles 3, Chiefs 4 better than than what I think I like the Eagles there. I'm one. It appeases my team, but also I think you're right. I think when you're looking at who's playing the better football, not wins and losses, and not like historically, and like the Eagles are healthy right now. Knock on wood. AJ, they're undefeated when AJ Brown's on the field. That defense is playing lights out. The linebackers have finally come to play. I wish I'd switched them. I think I'm on Team EJ in the top 5. I think my top 5 should match yours, but it doesn't.
3 feels high for the Eagles, but I'm not going to start a war over it. I mean,
yeah.
To your point, hey, listen, 6 wins, impressive. You're rewarding them. Not even mad. I could debate that some of them aren't necessarily awesome wins, but everybody
gets game, of course, and
I think you're kind of doing that with the Chargers. The Chargers just winning a bunch of games, and you're like,
hey, listen, who's been critical of the Chargers schedule on this show?
Isn't that what this list is? A reward?
Yeah,
in a way.
That's why I said I'm not
right now.
That's why I said I'm not mad at it. What I would do to really mess with things is I would put the Steelers at 3 or 4 because the Eagles are 3 because of them beating down the Red Tails the previous week.
And like and I don't necessarily, like I said, I don't necessarily like it, but it also happened the Chiefs have had some of their struggles. This was the first time they actually lost a game. It was a kind of a close-ish loss. Like they had a chance to come back and score. I think the game was a little bit more in the Bills' favor than the final score does show. But it also happened on a week where the Eagles pretty handily beat a team that was in most of our top 10s last week. So it was a good win for the Eagles. It was a loss for the Chiefs. So again, if you want to, I didn't do it. I'm not mad at EJ for doing it.
Yeah. Well, and if
I'm just shocked that he did it, because I figured he would have still had the Chiefs at 1.
And
or
EJ,
2.
Correct me if I'm wrong here. I feel like you're punishing the Chiefs a little bit for escaping the Broncos the way that they did, because they all lost.
It's a loss compounded with like the performance.
Denver Broncos.
Let me finish the sentence so that everybody home knows what I'm talking about. Because they lost that game, if it weren't for a blocked fucking punt at the end, right? So
field goal.
Yeah. Or thank you, guys. Sorry. So yeah, I think you're putting 2 weeks of punishment here to put them forth, and I fucking like it.
And you'd be correct on that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong there. Sean, I think the only thing that kind of surprised me, really, on your list was how high the Chargers are.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily hate it. I mean, they are definitely
Homer.
They are definitely one of the more surprising teams this year, in how quick the turnaround is. And when you look at like a defense that struggled to stop anybody, an offense that failed to really get moving in years past, and just a team that didn't have an identity, all of those things are now, we know what the Chargers' identity is.
We think they are?
And they're staying healthy, knock on wood, for the most part as well. I mean, I think getting rid of Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen are a big factor in that as well. But like, you know what I mean? Like they have a receiving core that at the beginning of the year we're going, who the fuck are these people? And all of a sudden we know who the fuck Lad McConkey is, right? Like it's wild what 11 weeks will do. I don't hate it. Obviously, I'm a Jim Harbaugh guy.
Homer.
But yeah, 6. I was surprised to see them up at 6.
Can somebody explain the irony that the Niner fan just called Jim a homer, right? For liking Jim Harbaugh?
Right? Isn't that wild?
Let me do this too. My favorite here is actually Mike Byrne. Okay. Being the brave man, doing 2 things.
Oh, my mic was off. I was trying to retort. My bad.
Oh, go ahead, John. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about Chargers. I was literally, since we were on my Chargers list, I think the big thing for me is that is it going to hold? I don't know. It sure looks like it. I think it's been a perfect storm. I think you have the coordinators that are in place and the head coach that's in place and the players that left. You brought in a motivator in a Harbaugh and a players coach in a Harbaugh, and you made the team younger. You took away kind of the old heads that might not work for, and you used it to get talent that it will work for. And now you have a good defensive coach coaching a defense, and you have a good offensive-minded coach coaching an offense, and it shows. And each coach was allowed to get the pieces they wanted, and now they're starting to mesh. And a defense that at one time was very good and fell to kind of pretty good is now looking borderline great. They're stopping teams from scoring, and now they're starting to add points on their own side on top of it. So I like where the trend is going. Could I see this team slipping a bit? Maybe, but I also think they're the biggest trap for the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC West.
They do 2 out of their next 3 games are going to be where we find out a little bit more about them. They passed
Have
the
they
first
played
test.
the Chiefs yet or no?
They lost to the Chiefs in week 4, 17-10.
Then I guarantee a win against Kansas City for the Chiefs.
Yeah, so and that game will be in Kansas City. So this week they play
Kansas City.
Yeah, this week they play Baltimore. Next week they play the Fraud Cons. Yeah, that name's back. And then the following week they go to Kansas City. After that, they have Tampa Bay, Denver, New England, Las Vegas. So if LA can get through these next 3 weeks,
I think that's loss win-win. If I was going to call them,
so you win 2 out of these 3. You should definitely, get through that last 4. You should definitely be a playoff team, really, at that point. And the
other thing I like about the Chargers is it's a two-handed punch. So the whole if people still want to believe that football players can't play in cold weather because they practice in warm weather or whatever the nonsense, if you get into a true cold weather game in the playoffs or a cold weather game in Kansas City, this team's not afraid to run the ball either.
No.
And now you have Edwards healthy behind.
So you have
Dobbins.
running backs that have played in the cold.
Yeah, and to have Dobbins and now to have Edwards healthy behind him, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they use McConkey and some of those guys in some running formations. I think this team is built to kind of hit you both ways if they have to.
Yeah. But Kyle, you were saying about Mike with
thanks for letting me chime back in.
Yeah, no, I didn't realize your mic was off, so perfect. Yeah, I like the Broncos at 10. It does two things. A, acknowledge what Sean just very eloquently said, and they have a tougher road than the Cardinals for the remainder of it, and I still feel like they're a better football team. It also does the best job of exposing EJ's lack of including the Vikings, because there's yet another team that he put in the top 10 reasonably, while also keeping the Vikings in his top 10. So, yeah, Janet Jackson, you're not looking very good leaving the Vikings off. You just got exposed again by Mikey the Bernier. I would also push back quickly on the fraud cons thing. Maybe that's true, Jim. If you look at their final 4 games, the Falcons, here's the thing. They close with Raiders, Giants, Red Tails, and Panthers.
That was easy.
Exactly my point. Carry on.
But will Coupon still be the quarterback? We'll see.
I don't know. Maybe Michael Penix leads some people.
Michael Penix Jr. did see his first action this week.
Yep, some Sunday.
Yeah. Any talks about Mike, Sean, and I all have the Cowboys in our bottom 5?
Because they belong there.
I think that really feels predictable for your list, Jim, right?
I mean, the sad thing is I actually moved them up one because the Jaguars fell further.
And
like I said about the Eagles at 3 and some of these other teams, a lot of my list always comes into play. How are you playing right now? And I think where that roster is and where that team's been playing, there's nowhere else for them but the bottom 5 in my opinion.
Bing bong, bing bong bong. Yeah, I had the Cowboys at 28 last week. I left them there. I took Carolina out of my bottom 5 because I just think that even with as bad of a roster as that team has, they're playing better football than Cleveland and the Titans. And of course, Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock, student of the game, Kyle Nash.
No, sir. I play offensive line for that. Oh, wait. No, I don't. They'd be better protected. Moving on.
You may play quarterback for him by the end of the year at this rate, because this guy
don't do that to my children, Mike.
Tony Mozzarella.
Yeah, this guy seems to think Drew Lock's even got a shot at playing a football game.
He's saying that. Is he saying that Drew is a lock?
Drew Lock, right? Like either that or this is just organizational tanking. Like, I mean, it's one of the two.
Tank for Shadur.
Saquon.
Yeah, I mean, my God, like it's just brutal.
So when they fire incorrectly named Coach of the Year Brian Daboll to sign Prime and draft Shadur,
Hold on, sir. I hate to interrupt you, but if you're going to go that way, do it correctly. You're going to pander for Sanders. Moving on.
Oh, I like that.
Good call. Good one. It's a good one.
Yeah, I mean that's what's going to happen, right? Like we're all just in agreement in that at this point.
That they're going to pander for Sanders.
Like EJ gets what he deserves, or
I don't know. I think they might endure for Quentin Ewers. That's an option there.
Oh. So if it's
a lot of
maybe they're planning for Manning and going to draft the quarterback next year. How about that?
So what is the current what would be the current NFL draft order?
Giants won.
The Jags are actually one, sir, and they're currently Travis Hunters. In case you're wondering.
So it's okay. So currently it would be Jacksonville, Tennessee, Cleveland, Giants, Raiders, Patriots, Jets, Panthers, Cowboys, Saints.
Man, the Cowboys have got to start losing fast if they're
well,
they're going to need to trade somebody. That's the only way they're getting there.
Put in Trey Lance. That'll help. No. Wow. So Jacksonville, because here's the thing. I like if Coach Prime is going to make the move to the NFL, which a lot of people speculate he may do when Shadur gets drafted, it's not going to be Jacksonville, right? Because they have their quarterback. Not going to be Tennessee because right, wrong, or indifferent, they have a quarterback.
I
Coach
wouldn't rule
Prime
it out
ain't
though.
going
I
to
wouldn't
Tennessee.
rule out Tennessee.
But that being, I think Mike's correct. I think that's beneath Coach Prime.
Yeah, Coach Prime and Shedeur ain't playing in Tennessee. Let's be real.
It's not going to be Cleveland because
Nashville?
they're overpaying for a bad QB.
Facts.
So like the Giants would be like the first landing spot, right? If it's not the Giants, if they skewer you or whatever the hell you said,
Endure for
well, if he's going
Jets
to
are
New York,
looking for a head
if he's
coach.
going to New York, he's going to get skewered.
Fair.
Then it would be Vegas, right?
Or the Jets.
Hey, listen, I pandered for Sanders to Las Vegas some time ago, gentlemen.
I would not be surprised to see Vegas pay him and then trade up somehow. Like they'll use some like they'll trade
Just to
the
guarantee
farm
they get Shedeur.
just to guarantee. Like they'll be like, we will get you the pick.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Just
wouldn't
coach here.
I wouldn't be surprised if either New York team or the Raiders feel like the most logical landing spot for Shedeur and Prime.
Here's what I think is the problem with the Jets is I think
like him in Dallas too.
Stop that. It is not. They
Like
can't.
as like a former team, like I don't know.
But the problem
And
is,
as an Eagles fan,
but the problem is they're not going to be able to bring in Shedeur because of what they just paid Dak and what they have to pay
It's
if
the
they
same
want
issue. It's the same issue as the Browns. They're paying.
Yeah,
them.
like if they're going to want to keep Micah Parsons and Diggs and a couple other pieces, they're not going to be able to afford to bring in Shedeur Sanders.
Well, what about the other New York team?
I think
that's what I was trying to say. That's what I was trying to say. I think the problem with the Jets is Sergeant Ayahuasca is just going to drag his feet too long for them to be able to pull the trigger on that.
See ya.
Are they paying him so much that they could? I mean, if Prime came in, could he draft Shedeur to play behind? I mean, how long's Rodgers really going to play?
I did. It doesn't his contract expire?
He has one more year.
I'm looking right now.
2 more years.
Yeah, he signed for way too long.
I thought it was only 2 years. I
Like
stand
this
corrected.
show.
Yeah. But listen, with the Cowboys, Jim, I have a feeling that you're going to get plenty of Genty. I think that's what's going to happen there. 'Cause
Aaron-
they need the running back.
Aaron Charles Rodgers is signed through the 2025 season.
Okay.
He's you can void his contract in 26.
Okay.
But even if you decide to release him after this season, it's $23 million cap hit,
They
and
won't do.
49 of it is dead. But if you're gonna have
Like Aaron Rodgers isn't going to get fired. They would work out a deal where he would I'm retiring, or I'm.
that's what I'm saying. If they just write him a check and go, hey, go away, so that fucking this shit doesn't count against us, then they draft Shedeur and hire Prime.
Yeah.
That's still on the table.
I can't rule that out.
Yeah, I can't roll it out. I think
I personally don't hate the idea of Shedeur playing behind him or on the same team as him
for a year or two.
For a year or whatever. Because the
I
not ready for that jump.
Personally, I don't think a Rodgers Prime Shedeur relationship goes well at all.
There you go, Jim.
Yeah, I
Well
agree.
drive Aaron Rodgers right into retirement.
Like it just doesn't work.
That's a good
it just doesn't
point.
work.
You just tell him we're hiring Dion.
Certainly, all of those are
You
would be in
don't.
play. All right, let's. Anything else on the power ranking?
I didn't hear a reaction from Jen on
Dallas sucks.
Get plenty of Genty.
Here's the thing. I would love Genty there. The problem is, even he's not going to be able to do anything behind that line.
Well, and I was going to say, the real talk is what the Cowboys would be wise to do is trade back, bolster the line in round one, and get Genty if he falls back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Unfortunately, I wouldn't. I don't think he's going to fall far enough if you do that. The Cowboys really need to retool the offensive line. I mean, Zach Martin looks like he could potentially be done for the. I don't know if it's for the year. He got banged up last night. His career is probably over. It's just an aged and bad offensive line. Like, here's the thing. I don't want that for Austin Genty. Like, I would love to have him in Dallas, but it's going to be such a bad start to a career that it's, I don't want to see a good player have to suffer through that personally.
I hear you telling me I hope that Harbaugh gets plenty of Genty in the first round. That's what I hear you telling me.
Dude, I'm here for it. I got the hat. I got the hat to show it. All right. Let's close up the show as we do each and every week when we look ahead to the things that will happen this weekend.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
All right, we'll start with you, Mikey B. What is going to happen this weekend?
I've gone back and forth on it. I could take Indiana. I could take potentially Kansas to beat Colorado and really screw up the Big 12.
I'd hate to see that.
Homer.
I could sit here and say Auburn's going to beat Texas A&M and really fuck some shit up.
Oh, God.
That.
You're scaring 3 panelists.
Please don't do that.
But don't worry. I'm going to fuck something else up. Give me the Florida Gators to defeat Ole Miss.
Wow. That's actually not bad. Not bad at all, Mike.
You'll see that.
I like that. I like that. Florida, like we all were
we all joked
on there.
Billy Napier, buddy.
Billy Napier. It just slipped my mind. It went right out of my brain when I went to say it. Like we were all, and to credit to Joel Klatt,
And rightly so.
ready to write that guy out of a job. And man, he's
done a good job.
He's actually
He's done a good
done
job, actually.
No,
this
he's not.
season.
Yes.
No, you're wrong, EJ. The athletic director has already publicly said he's coming back.
Yeah.
No. I said he's done a good job.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
He deserves something next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Heck of a job. All right, EJ, what is going to happen this weekend?
Mine's simple and cheap. Sorry about that. Mine's simple and cheap. Colorado wins again this week. Covers easy against Kansas.
Homer.
It sucks now, so whatever. Colorado wins 9-2.
Lock it up.
Accurate statement, Byrne. Well done. I'm not even mad.
Student of the game, what's going to happen this weekend?
America has made a better place, and Indiana's at least taken out of the frickin' top 10. It hurts me to do it, but go Buckeyes.
All right. Sean, what's going to happen this weekend?
Let's see. I was trying to come up with something real clever with like 2 teams from Ohio, but one of them's not playing. I'm looking at New York teams. I'm trying to come up with some creative. So I'm going to come up with this. I will tell you that the Detroit Lions playing in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
The Detroit Lions will score more points than the Vikings and Bears do combined.
Ooh.
That's a good take, Sean.
I love that.
By the way, keep in mind, gentlemen, don't scoff at golf in one particular way. As former Jacksonville Jaguar great Mark Brunell coached Jared Goff in that game to have his highest passing yard total as a Lion.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Mine, following their 6th straight loss, this time to the Red Commanders.
My man.
The Dallas Cowboys will relieve the Mikes, Zimmer, and McCarthy.
Oh man, I almost went with the McCarthy prediction
of their coaching duties. If you did, I had another one ready to fire.
Was the other one Doug Peterson?
I say if I said Peterson, somebody would tell me that's a lazy take.
No, I was going to be called a hater because I was going to say after LSU lost to Vanderbilt.
Here we go.
It's
because you
LSU
are
is going to pull the trigger. I will say LSU wearing yellow jerseys this weekend. So when they lose at home again, they'll at least look good doing it.
Oh Jesus. I will say this: a negative lock it up for Jaguar fans. Trent Baalke not relieved of duties by Shad Khan.
Well, that sucks.
I literally almost went with
sucks.
I went with Eberflus getting fired this week after they lose.
Fair.
Certainly.
Getting Eberfleeced.
They're not going to find it. They're not going to find another hardball out of that. But all right, let's close up the show, gentlemen. Let's go around. Sean, let the people know where they can follow you.
Well, if you want to follow me, you can come right down here to St. Petersburg, Florida, and just follow me around. I'll talk your ear off. But if you want to do it online, you got to come to Twitter. You got to get me on at Sean Shine State. And I've been posting some more. You get some funny sports memes, like the occasional take, and of course, some links to this show. So come follow me there.
All right, student of the game.
Honor, joy, and privilege, guys. Listen, Jim, do me one favor. You've already sent me the bell. Don't send me a silver baseball cap. I know I talk about wearing a tinfoil hat, not meaning to literally do it. Just throwing it out there. Of course, I am Kyle Nass, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at the SOTG. No, I'm not on Blue Sky yet. How the hell am I supposed to attain another fucking platform? Due time. Find me on all of those at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as a student of the game. Check out my writings with the Fans First Sports Network covering the Orlando Magic, a team that's actually winning. Yay! And the Jacksonville Jaguars. Speaking of the Jaguars, make sure you check out the Duval Dive Wednesdays at 7:30. Of course, on Sunday, the Jags may be on a bye, but we will do a grab bag of your questions. So make sure you send those in, all your Jacksonville Jaguar related questions. That should be fun, as well as my work with the Black and Gold bet. What? Hold on, Dirk.
I had a question, but I'll...
No, go ahead.
Where do we send those questions to?
Oh, great. Yeah, you could actually hit me up on Twitter at the SOTG or at Travis D. Holmes of Big Cat Country on Twitter as well. Or, hey, maybe you want to comment on the Duval Dive YouTube channel this past video. That's an option there, too. So basically anything where you can find us, you can make it happen. That's a good question there, Mikey Byrne. I like what you're saying. Of course, my work as well with the Black and Gold Banneret covering UCF football and basketball, men's and women's. So there's that, as well as the Night Shift podcast and West Virginia's this weekend for UCF. After the game, instant reaction on the Night Shift Live. Find that on the Black and Gold Banneret YouTube channel. And who knows what else could come up in that game as the Knights try to keep bowl eligibility alive. Will Eric Lopez lose his mind? Will I be playing therapist, or will we be celebrating in the fashion of John Travolta in the Bee Gees and saying that the Knights are staying alive? Who knows? But we won't find out until Saturday. Until next time, everyone, class dismissed.
EJ, you want to give a short and sweet plug?
First Week Podcast. You can 7 on Twitter. I'm fucking done.
It's not short and sweet, bud.
What you do it,
Good.
please?
Good Lord.
Oh, man.
Mikey B.
To quote the great Shorzy, who wants to set the tone? You can follow me on Twitter at They Call Me Burn. You can listen to me talk about the Mount over on the Huddle Up feed. That's coming back next week. Talk to Jason about that. We're bringing that back. Also, we're going to talk about Sunny Days and Double Plays, the Palm Beach Baseball podcast. And we have the preview of, I think there's an AEW pay-per-view this weekend that we have to talk about on the Take the Wrestling podcast. Listen to that. We talk about wrestling. It's fun. Set the tone, boys.
All right, you can get me at Big Jim Sports on Blue Sky, but you can get the show on YouTube, on Facebook, on Blue Sky, on TikTok at Huddle Up Podcast. We are on Instagram at Huddle Up Podcast Inc. We are on Twitch at Huddle Up Inc. You can also subscribe on all podcast platforms. Rate, review where you can, subscribe, comment, like, all of that where you can as well. Certainly would appreciate that. Get your merchandise over at our T Public store. All of that can be found on our link trees in our social media. Until next week, when we hit Thanksgiving week, obviously we'll preview those games, the latest college football rankings, and much more. Until then, stay safe, stay smart, and as always, go for the win.